It's Renee, host of the Looks Creepy Cool podcast, a variety show covering horror, thriller, and fantasy. Join me for revealing conversations with talented women and culturally diverse people, including filmmakers, game developers, illustrators, authors, and more. I'm on a mission to bring to light underrepresented voices, all the while entertaining you with the creepiest content. I'll cover true crime cases, hauntings, and hold special immersive storytelling events of terrifying original horror tales. Because if it looks creepy, it must be cool. Awesome. Well, hello everyone. I am super excited. I know you hear the super in my voice and excitement to be with Jenny Allen. She's the author of the Lilith Adams Series and is an award-winning artist and photographer. And we'll get to the artistry in a minute because I will talk to you guys about later in the interview. But she makes some killer vampire hunting kits, so we'll get to that in a minute. She also, the first book in the series is Blood Lily, which won honorable mention in the 2022 San Francisco Book Festival and was a finalist in the Chanticleer International Book Awards. I want to give a warm, creepy, cool welcome to Jenny Allen. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you. Guys, I read Blood Lily and I love everything about vampires, but the coolest thing about Blood Lily and Lily herself is that she's not your typical Hollywood vampire. And I love how Jenny, integrates the forensics aspect to it. So, Jenny, why don't you just give everyone an overview of your book, your series, and then we'll just chat from there.
Sure. So I have always loved the supernatural and vampires in general. Um, but there's been so many different ways they've been portrayed throughout media. And I wanted to take a different approach with it. I wanted something realistic where you kind of forget that they're not human. And really dig into the psyche that would occur with vampires in general if they had long lives. So that's what a lot of the Blood Lily centers on. The first book, it's just getting to know the characters and the world that they're in. I kept things as realistic as possible. I based my vampires off of a real blood disorder called thalassemia, and my half blood cases are, the kind of the thalassemia severe cases that slip through the cracks, and they need blood transfusions once a month. So I just wanted to take a more scientific approach to them and explore their humanity, so to speak.
Wow, no, that's interesting. And why don't you tell everyone like your background too? Because you're not just an author and artist, like you're also a registered nurse too, correct?
Correct. Yes, I do work
Yeah.
full time. I work as a RN in a step down from ICU unit. So really sick patients. Did awesome in college, especially anatomy and physiology and microbiology. I dabbled in forensics classes as well because I've always had a soft spot for that ever since the original CSI came out. I was hooked.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. And beyond that, I loved world mythologies and kind of like the original roots of things, especially vampires and zombies and things of that nature. And I wanted to kind of get back to like the original roots and reinvent them in a way.
Wow. So how is your, I mean, I'm just like amazed because I worked with a lot of authors before when I worked in publishing, and like I always love to hear their writing style, or just like what gets you in the mood to like, sit down or stand up or what have you and like write like these great books. Because even when I was reading Blood Lily, guys, it literally reads like a movie. Like I forgot Lily was a vampire until there's a certain scene where she's heating up her blood in the microwave. It's like, oh, that's right, she is a vampire. Like, it's just so awesome. So it's like, what's your writing process in terms of with the forensics and the world building? Because it is so time consuming, but at the same time, you have so much other stuff going on. So how do you balance everything?
I don't sleep much.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're not
There's
scared
that.
of vampires, so you're not having nightmares about vampires. So
No,
cross that off
no
the list.
nightmares about vampires. I have varying moods, I guess. There's sometimes when I just need to make something, and that's, usually when I do my art projects and things like that. But um, my characters are very real to me. I get kind of this melancholy when I finish a book because it's like I've lost my friends. I'm not talking to them right now, and I don't like it. So, um, really, my writing comes from just my own need for therapy. I know it sounds awful.
No, it's amazing. I mean, particularly the therapy into vampires and like,
Yeah.
supernatural, which is so cool. So, yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely been a therapeutic journey for me for sure. I got to speak at AuthorCon this year on a panel on the psychology of horror, and it was the most fantastic thing ever. And I got to explain how my process and everything when I write, a lot of my own experiences wind up in the story, and I don't intend them to. And it's not until I go back and I read it and I'm like, oh my God, that's totally um, like a simile or like a metaphor for something that happened in my life. So it's weird. It's a weird form of therapy, but it definitely helps me. And when I'm feeling super emotional, it helps to get words out on a page. So
Wow. Wow. Okay, so obviously I read Blood Lily and you said that, it's reflection like you just said about, some of the scenes reflection of some parts of your life. I do want to talk about one scene. It was like a pivotal moment for me. And guys, like this isn't like a full spoiler, okay? Because like definitely pick up the book, but one of the most amazing scenes was Spencer. So, Lily's cousin, when Lily was like being chased by Spencer when she like left the lab, I believe. And then she was going up the hill. And I just love, I know, well, this is a creepy cool podcast. So I love the savagery, the savageness that you incorporated into the scene because it really made me. I felt like I was right there with Lily, like I was fighting for my life. And when she was being chased and tormented by Spencer in a way where it was like she was being hunted. And that was the point for me where Lily is a badass in herself. Like she's a vampire, forensics investigator, and she like goes on these cases to try to like cover up what happened. And even though she's a vampire, but it's still pretty cool. And that scene where like she escaped and Spencer was still like hunting her, it was like not it was like a brutal scene in the sense like Lily got hurt so much, but at the same time it was where she realized her strength even more so, even though she is a vampire. But it's like, wow, she can like I felt like Lily was like, wow, I really got through this. I survived. I'm making it out of there and I'm telling everyone what just happened. So like describe to me in terms of like how you wrote that scene. Was it I hope it wasn't based off of a real life experience, but like it was such a great scene in the book that I reread it 3 times because I was just like, oh my God. Like it literally, guys, it literally reads like a movie, but this scene was so pivotal for me. So if you can elaborate on that, that would be great.
yeah, sure. So yeah, I've never been ran off the road and beaten to death. So yay. Um, but I wanted it to be that moment that she finally realizes that she's capable of protecting herself. Because I mean, although she's a vampire, my vampires are very normal and they don't have like super strength or extremely have fast healing or any of that stuff. So she's just basically slightly more than human, maybe like a professional athlete level type of thing. So she's spent her life investigating crime scenes. Like she's used to looking at the aftermath of what has happened, not dealing with the actual violence. So when things start happening in Blood Lily, she's really kind of thrown off and doesn't know how to react and doesn't feel strong and feels incredibly weak. But that's that moment that she had to fight for herself because no one else was there to do it. Like she had to do it. I was super focused on making it as realistic as possible. So, a friend of mine that I worked with actually was in a truck accident that happened exactly like I described it in the book. And I asked her to talk me through everything that happened. What were your injuries? Like, I'm very
Oh my
insensitive in
God.
some ways. But
Wow.
I wanted it to be realistic. And I have not been in many car accidents, so nothing like that. So,
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And Lily, like she's a badass, like ultimate badass, and like her badassness, I don't even know if that's a word, gets
It is
even
now.
like cooler. Okay, gets even cooler as you progress throughout the book. Like obviously, her love interest Chance, who is like so hot. Like I'm just like, oh my God, so lucky to I'm not gonna say anything else, guys. Like pick up the book and read it. But like it is just so great how you interweave their love story, but at the same time, they're like fighting for their lives. So,
Yeah.
is Chance, an inspiration from your husband, old boyfriend, like, or actor or dreamboat, whatever? Like, is he an inspiration from someone that you can share?
So I started writing the books before I met my husband, so I can't
Okay.
really say he's the inspiration. Although in books 2 and 3, and sometimes in book 1, because I did go back and re-edit the whole thing 2 years ago now.
Hmm.
Um, there are moments that are definitely my husband type moments,
Okay.
but it sounds weird.
No,
But
go ahead.
Chance is really the embodiment of my own protective and romantic side.
Oh,
Like me
wow.
as a person, I'm pretty much Chance and Lilith if you put them together.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome.
Because I am
Wow.
very artistic, but I'm also very scientific and logical, and don't think like some women. I mean, my husband is upset all the time that I don't yell at him enough, and I'm like, why should I? You're a grown adult. Like, you make your own choices.
Right.
So I am very much like Lilith when it comes to things like that, but I do have this deep romantic side that, is embodied in Chance. When I originally started writing the books, though, me and a friend were very into True Blood.
Yes. Yes.
And I would be lying if I said Alcide Herveau was not part of an inspiration when it comes to Chance. Not so much in the face, but everything else. He's the
I
same
love
height.
it. Oh my God, I love it. So were you like Sookie Stackhouse or were you I forget the characters. Like True Blood was like the best vampire series show ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was so hooked on it. Like the werewolves, like the shapeshifters, like pretty amazing. Pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
It made me go back and read all the books. And I
Wow.
honestly, especially after the third season, I really loved the books more, personally. But the first three seasons were brilliant. And I will tell you that Detective Andrew Cohen is
Yes.
100% based on Erica Northman from
Oh,
True Blood. Like,
yeah.
I visioned Alexander Skarsgård playing his part. Like, I
Yeah.
really do. If he was a little shorter.
Oh my God. Well, let's put that. I'm glad you're putting that out into the universe. Because yeah, like Cohen, oh my God. Like he sound like from reading the books, like he seems like, whoa, so sexy when you but it's like there's this mysterious side to him. And then as you're a reader, I'm not obviously not gonna spoil it, but it's like you start to see who he really is. And it was just
Mhm.
like, holy crap. I knew there was something about you, but like,
Yeah.
darn. Like that's pretty crazy.
Oh,
Um,
especially book 2, because book 2
yeah.
is basically Cohen's book. I mean, Lilith has to deal with a lot of extreme moments in book 2, but a good amount of the storyline has to do with Cohen.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So, your book like it's like a treasure trove of like scariness and then like, love story and then like mystery. It reminded me of like gosh, it was just a mixture of everything. It reminded me of like either Buffy the Vampire Slayer slash Dark Angel versus like the underworld meets national treasure. I don't know. It's just like the mysteriousness of it. And it's so are there any secrets in like your first book that gets answered in the second book or third book? Is there anything like that you hide that like the average person or you can give a little hint to someone who's going to pick up your book after hearing about this interview?
Yes.
Okay.
There are elements sprinkled throughout books 1 and 2 that definitely come into play in book 3, leading into book 4, which is when I think this series will end. I'm not 100% on it yet, but maybe like 75% sure that book 4 will be the last book in that series. But if I wanted to give a little hint without giving too much away, I'd say if you're going to read book 3, which I'm close to finishing the rough draft on, you should pay particular attention to the very first scene in Blood Lily.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait. And then just remind, so obviously it's Blood Lily, and then remind everyone the other 2 books as well.
Yep, so Blood Lily is book 1. It does end in a cliffhanger because I am evil, but it goes right into book 2.
Only
book
evil
2,
in pages, guys, in writing.
oh yeah,
In person,
yeah.
she's a sweet person.
Really, I have to remind my patients because they find out I write these books and they're just like, oh. I'm like, no, I'm evil to fictional characters so I can be super nice to you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait. And then just remind, so obviously it's Blood Lily, and then remind everyone the other 2 books as well.
Yep, so Blood Lily is book 1. It does end in a cliffhanger because I am evil, but it goes right into book 2.
She's only
book 2,
evil in pages, guys, in writing.
oh yeah,
In person,
yeah.
she's a sweet person.
But book 2 is Rose of Jericho. It's a very fast-paced book. I had one reviewer tell me that she kept expecting it to pause where I got patience on my brain. She kept expecting for the book to pause where the characters would sit back and reflect and like maybe then something new would happen. And she's like, that moment never happened. It just kept going and going. And it was amazing. It was like watching this incredible show that just wouldn't end. Like it was just action all the time. Wow. And I'm like, yay. That's kind of what I was going for.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then book 3 that I'm writing right now is The Lotus Tree.
Yeah.
And super excited about this one because I do use a few new techniques, a little different narration in that 3rd book. A lot of plot in that 3rd book. It's not as fast paced as Rose of Jericho. So you do kind of like, get a break because it happens 8 months later. So you get to sit back and see what their lives are like now. And I will tell you, Lilith is real messed up.
Oh no. But messed up in a good way or messed up in like, I'm a bad
No, she's just messed up. But, her and Chance are still together. I'll give you that, though.
Oh, good. I was going to ask that. I was like, oh my God, did Chance die? And I was like, no. Okay, good. They're still together.
As of right now, Chance is still alive.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's amazing. So like, with the writing and then like, I definitely want to get into your vampire hunting kit and all the other artistry that you make. Like obviously you say you don't sleep, but you are human. You're not a vampire, Jenny. So like you do sleep, but like what is like your artistic process in terms of like creating a vampire kit? So I've worked with a lot of paranormal romance authors. None of them told me that they created a vampire hunting kit. And like I just want you to talk about that and like the other like creative items that you make that are just amazing.
Oh yeah. So one of my favorite horror movies and one of the first movies that I ever saw was, horror movies that I ever saw was Fright Night.
Yes,
and Peter Vincent was so awesome. And I loved his vampire hunting kit. It was just the coolest thing in the world to me. Yes. And I've always wanted one, but they're like extremely expensive on Etsy, like $500-$600.
Oh my gosh.
And I was walking through Hobby Lobby, like getting supplies for other millions of crafts that I do. And they had 50% off on these cool boxes. And I was like, oh, I should make a little vampire hunting kit. That would be cool. So I made one. Well, I bought 2 and I made 2 that were identical. And before I even put it up on my site, I had someone buy it. It's gone. It was $150 gone.
Oh my God.
So I was like, oh, well, I'll make more, which is what I've done. And now I've gotten into making little witch kits and stuff too. I have an event on Saturday. I'm going to downtown York. And it's hosted by a place called the Dark Parlor.
Oh,
and they do a lot of like supernatural and witchcrafty things and things like that. So I made some special little protection spell kits and stuff to take there. This would be pretty neat. So
oh my gosh. And everyone can, like, if anyone's interested in buying it, they can go to your website to like purchase it, correct? Just email her, guys. Just email her
yep.
and she'll get it to you. Like, that is amazing because every girl or guy can use a vampire hunting kit.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. And then what other, because I know you create these like cool, I love the one, I'm trying to pull it up, like one about reading, like you have all these cute phrases that you create like a wood board. I think that is so cool. Like it's a great Mother's Day gift, like great Father's Day gift, everything. So guys, definitely check out her store. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I love the wood burning. It's a lot of fun. And it's all freehand. I don't use any lasers or stencils. So each piece is unique.
So first off, how many hours does it take you to create a vampire hunting kit?
Depends on the size, of course. But for like my most popular one, which is actually a fairly largish size, that one runs around 300. But it took me maybe 12 or 14 hours just straight to make it, because I handcraft a lot of the items. Like the stakes are hand carved. I stain them, I lacquer them. Some of them have like cast iron doorknobs on the handle, which are pretty cool. The other ones are like leather wrapped with like, little studs in them. And then I fill all the bottles, like the ones that have elder fangs, which is pretty cool, like little vampire fangs. I hand sculpt those out of air dry clay and paint them as they're drying, so they get that translucent look. They're cool. So I have a lot of like real crafty things into it too, not just stuffed it in there.
Oh my God, that is amazing. Wow. Another question I wanted to ask you is, since this is the Creepy Cool podcast, what is the most creepiest thing that has ever happened to you?
The creepiest thing. There's been a lot. I tend to avoid creepy stuff, which is weird because I write about it all the time. But when I lived in Hawaii, there's a place called Morgan's Corner, and it's a very, very famous haunted place that my friends wanted to go to constantly. So my best friend had a Jeep at the time, so we rode out to Morgan's Corner in the night because that makes sense. And they all got out, and I was like, nope, I am staying right here. I will sit in the Jeep. You guys have fun. And they got like a quarter of the way up the paved path, by the way. It was paved, even path. Quarter of the way, one of the kids like slips and like sprains his ankle. So they all came back. And then the next night, they're like, well, we're going to do it for real. We got to get to the steps, because the whole thing is like you go up the steps and it's 12. You go down the steps and it's 13. Like they wanted to do it.
Oh my God. And this is still at night. So this is the next day at night. Okay.
Next day at night, still in the Jeep, because you guys can have fun. I want no part of it. And the same thing, like a quarter of the way, almost the exact same spot. Another kid, like twists his ankle and they have to all turn back. And so the third night they asked me if I want to go. And I'm like, no, no, I have no desire to do that, because things are real and they're creepy and I don't want to play with them.
Oh my God, that is scary. And this
my
is in
best, in Hawaii.
Wow.
A lot of weird stuff in Hawaii. Florida too. Florida had some really creepy places. Some of them wouldn't seem creepy in the daytime. Like I was a newspaper delivery person for a while. And there was this one condo place, and it had like 4 or 5 different courts full of condos, and each one looked identical. Like there's really no difference between them. But there was this one place, this one condo in one of the courts, that every time I got there, I just could not get out of my car. Like this person wanted me to stand up, like get out of my car and walk and put the paper on their doorstep. And the first time that I did that, like I felt like something was chasing me and like about to grab me. And it was only in that one place every single time I went there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was real creepy. Don't like it. So my brother, I call him my brother. He's my best friend, Jason. I've known since I was 16. He likes to play with ghosts and piss them off because he thinks it's funny. So that's probably where part of it comes from, is that I don't like to play with ghosts. I will leave them alone and be respectful.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh my gosh. So then, wow. So you just shared with us like two creepy things that happened in your life. I know you said there was a whole bunch, but like now it's like I don't want to know because I want to sleep at night. But like, so what was the coolest thing in your life that's happened to you?
Well, I mean, if you take out like the, getting married and having kids, recently I was, it was not, I think it was last year. I was at Creature Feature Weekend in Gettysburg, which is a fantastic show. So if you're anywhere near it, you should definitely go. So they had a special guest there, Tom Savini, who is a huge artistic idol of mine. Like, I look up to the man. He does fantastic artistic work. Like, I was head over heels happy to be there in the same space. So I went up and I got his autograph, and I was all nerd girl about like, oh my gosh, you're my artistic hero and you're so awesome. And oh my God, I always wanted to go to your school. I just can't afford it. And then after he signed my picture, I was like, and here's my card. You should come see my booth.
Oh my God.
And surprisingly, on the Sunday, he actually came directly to my booth to check out all my stuff. And he took his time. He looked at all my little creepy haunted houses that that were originally Christmas houses that I rehab. He looked at my little sculptures. He looked at my art print book, all my wood burning. And then he looked at me and he's like, you do amazing work. I could have just died right there. I'd be happy.
That's amazing. Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. Oh, wow. That's awesome. So, speaking, you just named two creepy things and one cool thing. What is the creepiest scene? We can talk about Blood Lily that you wrote, and that is like your favorite.
In Blood Lily specifically. So I've got Low Street in my head right now. In Blood Lily, I'd have to say it is the scene in Good Deetha when Chance shoots Ashcroft and his head starts to grow back.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's I like the fact I used a lot of senses, not just vision for that one. I wanted those sounds to like kind of creep into your head and stuff. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys. I hope you're either listening to this. Well, no, if you're listening to this at nighttime, totally fine, because this interview is just so amazing. So amazing. And then like, what is, I guess, well, that is pretty cool. So is there like another cool and creepy scene that you can share as well?
In Blood Lily.
I would say the coolest one for me was when Chance and Lily finally got together because the tension was so high. I was like, finally.
I know, the poor Chance. Like, I totally gave him blue balls through the whole.
Right. It's like, oh my God.
It was
Chance,
so mean.
Yeah, but he did turn Lily's advances down like one or two times a bit. So,
he did.
He's like, I have a job.
It was his own fault.
Yeah. So, I would blame him mostly. Yeah.
I actually had someone ask me about that. She's like, so let me get this straight. Like, they're at this scene where there's a huge fire and stuff, and they just go in this alley and then just do it. Like, that seems so out of character. I was like, that's the point. It's supposed to be out of character. Like, it's supposed to be that, like, you realize that the effects that she has from that blood, like, make her do things she wouldn't normally do. And it was important in that moment that it has to be something that, like, she's not sure if it was what she wanted or what happened.
Right.
Right. So, it was, it's like it had to be at that point in time. Yeah. So it does make sense, I promise.
No, it was amazing. Is there one thing I wanted to ask you is like, how did you select the names of your characters? Which is, like, it's pretty incredible. And I mean, like, even the security guard character, like, how did you select like the names?
There's a really funny story behind that one. So it just came to me,
Okay.
it's, security officer Richard Coffey. And the funny part is my husband, when he found out about that name and who I named it after, because I created that character after a particular actor that I would have loved to see play it, who's Michael Clark Duncan. And then he's like, you realize that same actor played a character named Coffee before. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, The Green Mile? Is like, I've never seen that. He's like, what? So we had to watch it. And I was like, oh my God. Completely by accident.
Wow.
But Lilith has always been predetermined in a way, because the original story of Blood Lily was based on a vampire role-playing game I played when I was younger. When I was 20. Yeah. And her name was Lilith. And I actually have the original draft of the book that I wrote, which was called Lilith in London. And it's 452 handwritten pages. I still have it. And it's way different. Like, literally the only things that are the same is Lilith, her name, Chance, his first name, and the fact that she's looking for her uncle. That's pretty much it. Like, Chance wasn't even a vampire. He was a shapeshifter, like an Anubis shapeshifter, Egyptian.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very different.
Pretty hot.
I've toyed with like paying someone to type it up and editing it and releasing it under a pen name.
Oh my gosh.
Just change some of the names, but so her name was always predetermined. I always loved the name Chance, but the Devereaux part came later when I started really writing Blood Lily. Gregor's name, I researched Scottish names, I won't lie. Yeah. Like, that's where Duncan and Mariah's last name and stuff like that came from. Mariah is a funny one because I had a coworker, same one with the truck, by the way, the truck accident coworker. So she begged me all the time, like, can you please put me in your book? I want to be in your book. Put me in your book. And she was, I love her to pieces, but she was overly happy all the time. And I found it annoying. So I was like, fine, I'll put you in my book. She was not happy with the result. But I did let her pick the name of her husband in the book. So she chose Malachi. That was her choice. Wow. So for like little tiny bit characters and stuff that aren't going to live or last past one scene, I actually go on my Facebook and I choose a first name from my list and I choose a last name from my list of friends and I put them in the book.
Oh my gosh, guys. So like Jenny's Facebook page because your name could be in the book.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is
and amazing. I do run contests once in a while where I'll have the winner gets named in my book. There's one in book 2, Yvonne Griffin, who is the eyewitness on the news story in book 2. And she is a coworker that begged and begged and begged for me to put her in my book. So she had way too much personality to refuse. So I had to use it.
Yeah.
So I started with art when I was real young. I drew all the time, but my writing didn't start until high school. In high school, I had 2 best friends, Jennifer and Brian, and we were like the 3 musketeers. We hung out all the time. And I thought we knew everything about each other, which I found out later was not the case. But so me and Jennifer went to homecoming. Brian said he didn't want to go. And we found out the next day that during homecoming, he had hung himself.
Oh, my God.
And it hit me real hard. I blamed myself a lot for not knowing what was going on. And because I thought maybe if I had made more of an effort to bring him to homecoming, maybe he wouldn't have done that. So it was a lot of guilt that I dealt with. It turned into night terrors and stuff that I had for a long, long time. And when I started really writing, especially Blood Lily, that's when the night terrors stopped. And then the nightmares were there still, but they got less and less and less. And it's like I took that need for that story out of my head and put it onto paper. Because all my nightmares revolved around me trying to save a group of people, and I would fail and die, and so would everyone else. And they're very vivid. So I just put that on paper and made that something separate from myself. And now I don't have those nightmares anymore. And I've been able to like come to grips with it and realize that, you know, you can't save people that don't want to be saved.
Wow.
And you can't hold that against yourself.
That is so powerful. And I love how you just took that dark aspect of your life and you transformed it into something very creative because, you know, it's sad to say, you know, a lot of people would have turned to other darker matters that wouldn't be healthy. And you took a healthy route to this. And you're a fabulous author. And like everyone loves your books, and more people would love reading your books. You know, as you progress in your writing career. It's like pretty incredible. That is, and it's inspiring too, because mental health is such a big issue affecting everyone of all ages today. And the fact that you took this, like, again, this dark piece of your life and transformed it into a book that like everyone loves and got fabulous reviews on Goodreads and other review sites. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible.
Thank you. It's a big focus. I do try to put a lot of the mental health aspects into the book because of that. That's why Lilith has nightmares and night terrors and stuff, because, you know, that's my part. And when she has survivor's guilt towards the end and into book 2 and book 3, I mean, that's a big part of it too. So I really wanted to feature those problems so that hopefully someone reading it won't feel alone and be able to identify with those issues. So,
yeah. Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. Well, this concludes our interview. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Or this was super fun. This was a cool interview, like so amazing. You have to be back again.
All right, so I'm Jenny Allen, author of the Lilith Adams Series. Right now I have book 1, Blood Lily, out for sale, as well as book 2, Rose of Jericho. I'm hoping to have book 3, The Lotus Tree, released hopefully later this year. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. Again, this is the Looks Creepy Cool podcast. I want to thank my fabulous and coolest guest, Jenny Allen. Feel free to buy her books and read it. I'm telling you, if you need an escape, you will be on the edge of your seat from as soon as you turn the page. It is absolutely amazing. Jenny, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm super excited. And I look forward to having you again to talk about Lotus Tree when your other book comes out. Can't wait.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Take care, everyone. Bye.